Hi, my name is Trish Wachtel, and I'm delighted to be presenting Research Snapshot 19 on behalf of Tracey, professionals and researchers in early childhood intervention. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands from which I'm speaking to you today, the Larrakia people. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. The Larrakia people have been raising children on these lands for thousands of years, and I honour and respect that role. So the article we'll be discussing today is Authentic Assessment for Early Childhood Intervention in Vivo and Virtual Practices for Interdisciplinary Professionals. The authors are Stephen Bagnato, Marisa Macy, Carmen Dionne, Nora Smith, Jackie Robinson-Brock, Tracey Larson, Maria Londono, Antonio Fevola, Mary Beth Bruder, and Jamie Cranmer. I chose this article as it's a recent publication, 2023, and it reflects on insights and learnings from the COVID-19 pandemic, especially how assessments were conducted. The article emphasises authentic assessments, which is gaining traction globally as being more inclusive, accurate, and respectful of children's diverse abilities and context than just standardised assessments. So, what do we need to know? The paper focuses on outlining a step-by-step model for authentic assessment, which supports developmentally appropriate practice, quality standards for both in vivo, which is in-person, and virtual practices. Standards are proposed for natural environments, observational methods, family-centred practice, interdisciplinary teamwork, and the essential link between assessment and intervention. So what is this research about? This research explores how interdisciplinary professionals can effectively assess and support young children with developmental delay or disability. It emphasises the use of authentic assessment, which involves real-life, developmentally appropriate and individualised evaluations rather than standardised tests. The study highlights the importance of integrating both in-person, which is in vivo, and virtual practices to support a holistic approach for assessment linked to intervention. The researchers' hope was that this article and the step-by-step model that they offer will help professionals maintain the outlook that emphasises the importance of both authentic assessment methods and processes, whether in vivo or virtual, for uncovering each child's hidden and true capabilities and needs, and to adhere to their enduring commitment to protect children's inherent civil and human rights. So what did these researchers do? The researchers synthesised findings from the Link Forum, which brought together international and interdisciplinary experts to establish consensus on best practice for authentic assessment. They developed a step-by-step model that incorporates observational methods, natural environments, family-centred practice and interdisciplinary collaboration. The model also integrated technology to enhance assessment without replacing in-person observations. So what did the researchers find? Well, the study found that authentic assessment is most effective when it occurs in natural settings, involves families and interdisciplinary teams, and is closely tied to intervention planning. Technology can support these assessments, but the human element remains crucial. The research supports a shift from standardised testing to meaningful, individualised assessments that inform tailored interventions. The step-by-step model for authentic assessment in early childhood intervention presented included the following key components. Number one was the use of technology as the basis and integral feature for all assessments of children's competencies. So leveraging platforms like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and mobile devices to observe and document children's behaviour in natural settings. Video portfolios help track progress and validate observations over time. The second point was reframing the assessor's role as an orchestrator of authentic assessment processes via others. So shift from being that sole evaluator to a facilitator or orchestrator who coordinates input from families, caregivers and educators. This collaborative approach enriches the assessment process. The third point was choose a teamwork model with parents that fits the child's needs and the family's cultural preferences. So really select an interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary model based on the child's needs and the family's preferences. These models really do promote shared responsibilities and integrated service delivery. Point 4 was select a developmental profile to record functional competencies that link to the curricular goals. So use valid developmental assessment tools that align with curriculum goals and allow for tracking progress across domains like communication, motor skills, social and emotional development. Number 5 was employ family-friendly materials that are jargon-free and common language for all. So really assure all of your assessment tools and communications are accessible, jargon-free and culturally sensitive, so families can actively participate and truly understand the process. They also found point 6 was observe first children's natural competencies in play and classroom routines. So focus on observing children during typical play activities such as meal times, playtimes and transitions. This provides a more accurate picture of their abilities and their challenges. Point 7 was record videos of child's play to validate and archive observations of status and progress. So encourage families or educators to record short videos of the child engaging in their play and routines. These clips serve as valuable data points for analysis and team discussion. Point 8 was observe, record the child's capabilities across multiple settings, people and occasions using multiple methods. So gather your data from various settings like home, childcare and community, from multiple people like parents, teachers and therapists, and times to ensure a comprehensive understanding of the child's development. Point 9 was partner with parents and caregivers. So engage families as co-assessors by valuing their insights, encouraging their observations and involving them in decision making. This truly builds trust and ensures relevance. 10 was to also partner with teachers and team members, collaborate with educators and specialists to share those observations, validate your findings and co-create intervention strategies that will be consistent across environments. 11 was engage in child play to probe specific skills. So use those play-based interactions to assess targeted developmental skills such as problem solving, communication and motor coordination in a really natural and engaging way. Point 12 was select familiar toys and peers to prompt the child play. So incorporating items and people that the child knows well to elicit authentic responses and assess how skills generalise across familiar contexts. 13 was interview caregivers about their child's competencies and needs. So conduct those structured or informal interviews with caregivers to gather details, information about the child's strengths, their needs, their preferences, and their daily functioning. And point 14 was use clinical judgment and consensus team decision making. So it used informed professional judgment and collaborative decision making to interpret data, determine eligibility and plan interventions. The article will say in accordance with IDEA guidelines, but IDEA refers to specific requirements under the Individual Disability Education Act, which is a US federal law. The relevant context for Australian audiences would be to ensure that their practices aligned with the national guideline for best practice in early childhood intervention, which I'm sure you're aware is currently under review. I strongly encourage you to subscribe to Tracey's newsletter to ensure you're keeping up to date with the rollout of the new best practice framework. So how can you use this research? Look, this research is valuable for practitioners, policymakers and service planners involved in early childhood intervention. It encourages involving children in setting and evaluating their own goals, which can improve outcomes in health, well-being, independence, social engagement and future learning. The findings support policy change and professional development to align with best practices in authentic assessment. Practitioners can apply these step-by-step processes for authentic assessment by conducting assessments in natural environments where children are feeling most comfortable, using observational methods during everyday routines to capture authentic behaviours, engaging families as active partners in the assessment and goal-setting process, collaborating with interdisciplinary teams to interpret the data and plan the interventions, integrating technology such as video recordings and virtual platforms to supplement in-person assessments, linking assessment findings directly to individualised intervention plans, and continuously monitoring progress and revising goals based on the child's development. This paper is relevant to any person involved in early childhood intervention and particularly involved with assessment for intervention. So where to from here? This research presents an opportunity to rethink how assessment and interventions are approached. ECI professionals can embed authentic assessment into everyday practice by observing children in their natural environments and using these observations to inform meaningful goals and strategies. They can empower children to participate in setting and evaluating their own goals, fostering autonomy, engagement, and self-awareness from an early age. It can strengthen interdisciplinary collaboration by ensuring that educators, therapists, and families work together to create holistic and individualised support plans. Leverage technology to complement in-person assessments, making services more accessible and flexible, especially for remote or underserved communities, which there are many in Australia. Advocate for policy and training reforms that support authentic assessment practices and recognise the value of child-led goal setting. And focus on equity and inclusion by tailoring assessments to the diverse cultural, developmental and linguistic needs of children and their families. This is a call to action for practitioners, planners and policymakers to prioritise child voice, family partnership and evidence-based practice in all aspects of early childhood intervention. The citation is there to follow up if you would like to. And I thank you very much for listening.